Welcome to Guitar Books, the podcast. My name is Joe McMurray. I'm excited to be with you here today because in all of my previous episodes, I've done in-depth reviews of one book per episode where I've played through examples and really gone through each section and talked about it in a lot of detail. Today, I'm going to give you a list of my top or best beginner fingerstyle method books. So if you want to get started playing fingerstyle guitar, you'll benefit from private lessons with a teacher, online video courses, listening to fingerstyle recordings, and of course, books. It's beneficial to mix and match all of these resources. Remember that everyone's brain works differently, so you may gravitate towards certain styles of learning or methods of presentation. I love learning from books because I can read the text at my own pace and I can read it over and over again. Also, I've always had difficulty learning keeping track of song forms or chord progressions without some sort of written reference until I've really memorized it. So, for those of you who want to use a fingerstyle guitar method book to beef up your chops, I've done my homework and I've distilled my favorites into this greatest hits list. I'll try to be objective and describe who each book is best suited to. If you are interested in a book, make sure you go check out the corresponding in-depth review episode that I've done, and you'll get to hear me play through examples and all of that sort of thing. Before I get to my list, I want to make sure you know about my book. It's called Arranging for Fingerstyle Guitar. In this book, I show you how to take one very simple melody and arrange it in hundreds of different ways, all within the umbrella of fingerstyle guitar. In the end, you should be able to arrange any melody for fingerstyle guitar, and it might help with your songwriting for fingerstyle guitar. Also, I'm in the process of publishing a book with Mel Bay. It's called Arranging for Fingerstyle Ukulele. It incorporates a lot of these ideas from my guitar book into and applies them towards the high G string ukulele. It's really exciting. It's been a really fun project for me. I love playing the uke. So also, if you haven't heard my music, I've released several albums. Please check out my latest album. It's called Pins on the Map. And this album is full of fingerstyle guitar, fingerstyle ukulele, and piano. So now on to my list of the best beginner fingerstyle method books. Remember, you can always go to the episodes for each book, and you can hear me play examples and talk about the nuances. I really go into a lot of detail in each episode. So, all right, so the first book I'm going to talk about is Alfred Publishing's Beginning Fingerstyle Guitar. This is written by Manzi. This is a great all-around book to learn solo fingerstyle guitar. It's good for beginner and intermediate fingerstyle guitar players. It's not specific to any one subgenre of fingerstyle. You get a great overview of everything. Different approaches like Travis picking and arpeggiation and some other techniques and stuff. It's a great place to start. It has nice organization and flow of information with a decent difficulty progression. The examples gradually get more difficult, not too quickly. It has good finger exercises to build some dexterity or to use as warmups. It has decent explanations in the text, but they're not too wordy. And it has nice sounding original tunes. There aren't any arrangements of famous tunes, but there are tunes in the style of blank, like in the style of James Taylor or in the style of Pierre Bensusan or other notable players. I personally like working through this book with my students. Additionally, many of the book's lessons have sparked creative ideas in my own playing. I've written several songs after going through lessons in this book. This is the first book in a 3-part series, so you can continue your studies. There's beginning, and then there's intermediate and mastering. So for all of the books that I'm going to talk about today, audio recordings are available. So I'm not going to say it after every book, but audio recordings are available if that's important to you, and I know it is to a lot of people. So moving on from this book, which is a great all-around book, the next book on my list is Travis Style Guitar from Scratch by Bruce Emery. This book is a gem. It's a method book for learning to play solo fingerstyle guitar, specifically in using an alternating bass or in the Travis style. Same thing. This is one of the best books I've found for complete beginner to intermediate players who want to learn the specific style. Although, even if you want to play other substyles of fingerstyle as well, this isn't a bad place to start your journey. The material progresses logically with lots of exercises that build on each other and lead perfectly into performance pieces. They're old classics like Oh Susanna, House of the Rising Sun, Jingle Bells. Each time Emery, the author, presents a new concept, he incorporates it into an updated arrangement of each tune. So take Oh Susanna, which I play in my video review for this book many times. He gives you a really easy version, then he talks about a new concept, and then he gives you a slightly more complex version. And in the end, you end up playing 5 or 6 arrangements of Oh Susanna, each one getting more and more complex and difficult. However, one thing I love about this book is that even the very first arrangements, they sound really good, and they're very approachable for beginner players. This is one of those books that if you're a beginner and you want to build some confidence, you can learn these first arrangements, and they sound pretty good. You can play them out. They're not very long, but you can play them smoothly because they're just not so hard. Also, one thing I love about this book, Emery's sense of humor is infused into the text, keeping detailed explanations lighthearted and entertaining without losing sight of the important information. Really, he's just a funny writer, so it makes it fun to read. If you're not into really serious textbooks, this might be a better book for you. It keeps it light and fun. So, moving on from this book, the third book on my list is also from Bruce Emery. This is Fingerstyle Guitar from Scratch. So, I don't love this book as much as Travis-style Guitar from Scratch, but it's still a great general method book. You will not learn to play solo fingerstyle guitar arrangements, but you will receive a great foundation if you're just getting started out with fingerstyle. It's good for complete beginner to intermediate players. Once again, it's really fun to read. The text is funny. Sometimes it's just lighthearted, but it's good information. And as I mentioned, you won't learn how to play solo fingerstyle. This book is focused on fingerstyle accompaniment using arpeggiation and Travis-style or alternating bass patterns. If you want to sing and play some fingerstyle guitar patterns underneath your singing, this is a great book to learn if you're not interested in playing any solo fingerstyle guitar. This book would make an excellent primer for either the Alfred beginning fingerstyle method book or any other fingerstyle guitar methods. So, good book. It's more of an all-around look at fingerstyle accompaniment, which will benefit you if you want to learn how to play solo fingerstyle guitar. Right, number 4 on my list is Hal Leonard's Finger Picking Guitar by Doug Bodach. Don't confuse this with the next book on my list. We'll get to that shortly. This is a short and sweet method book to learn to play both accompaniment and solo fingerstyle guitar through famous popular tunes. Hal Leonard is a huge publisher. They have the rights to many, many popular songs. So instead of playing original tunes or tunes in the style of so-and-so, you'll actually be playing arrangements or snippets of famous tunes from acts like Adele and Ed Sheeran and the Beatles and the Police and Africa and many, many other famous artists. So that's one of the big benefits of getting a Hal Leonard book. This book is great for beginner and intermediate fingerstyle guitar players. Guitar teachers may find this to be a great teaching supplement. The progression of topics is well laid out. The examples and arrangements are playable and they sound good, and the text is very concise. This book is great if you just want to play arrangements of popular tunes, but I'd recommend that you work with a teacher if you want to learn more about how to apply the information outside the book. There's just not a lot of detailed descriptions. Don't confuse this with the next book I'm going to talk about, which is Hal Leonard's Fingerstyle Guitar by Chad Johnson. So this is a more in-depth method book for learning to play both accompaniment and solo fingerstyle guitar. It's good for beginner through late intermediate players. It's very comparable to Alfred's beginning fingerstyle guitar, maybe gets into the intermediate territory as well. This is an all-around general method book that you could learn to start from step 1 of fingerstyle guitar and build a great foundation. I love the chapter in this book on arranging music for fingerstyle guitar. Obviously, that's something that I think is very important to progressing as a fingerstyle guitar player. He did a really great job in that chapter. There are lots of popular songs, once again, either short samples of the accompaniment parts or full solo instrumental arrangements. There are lots of examples, but one of my gripes with this book is that they don't always build on each other's very well. There's not a great difficulty progression. Sometimes you'll have several examples that seem to flow from one to the next with little incremental changes, and then there will be an example with different chords and it moves around the neck and it just feels significantly harder, and that can hold up a lot of students. They get stuck on these. I know that they're trying to cover a lot of ground in this book, but I feel like the difficulty progression is not as smooth as the Alfred book or some of the others I've talked about. So in the end, I really do like this book, and if you go through lots of books, you'll end up with this one at some point. But at least at the beginning, if you're going to buy one book, I would recommend the Alfred Beginning Fingerstyle over this book if you want a general method. If you really want to do Travestyle, I'd recommend the Bruce Emery book, Travestyle from Scratch. But let's move on to the last book on my list. Number 6 is Mel Bay's Complete Chet Atkins Guitar Method, written by the master Chet Atkins himself. This is an excellent method book aimed at beginner and intermediate fingerstyle guitar players who want to learn to play solo fingerstyle guitar arrangements in the style of Chet Atkins, the majority of which utilize an alternating bass or Travestyle. If you're interested in this country blues style of playing that Chet Atkins made popular, starting in the 1950s and lasting until his death in 2001, it's a great place to start. This book ranges in difficulty from easy to intermediate, although a few of the final arrangements get significantly harder. This one moves faster and gets significantly more difficult than Bruce Emery's Travestyle Guitar from Scratch. I'd really recommend going through Emery's book first and then tackling this one if you're primarily interested in solo Travestyle playing. This book is arranged much differently from Emery's book. Each section focuses on a new key signature, whereas Emery's book sticks to the keys of C major or A minor, G major or E minor. This book also gets into keys like A major and E major and a few other things. So it's a different approach. This book definitely gets harder though, more quickly. It doesn't have as many gradually progressing exercises, but it is a great book. I would recommend going through the Emery book first if you're a complete beginner, and then tackling this book. This book, in the end, will get you playing up the neck, which will extend your range, but you definitely don't need that at first. You can play many great arrangements down near the nut of your guitar, but eventually it's helpful to see how to move up the neck. So that's the last book I'm going to talk about, and before I let you go, let's do a quick all-around comparison. So with all these books, you've got Alfred's Beginning Fingerstyle Guitar Method by Lou Manzi and Hal Leonard's Fingerstyle Guitar by Chad Johnson. These two books are fairly comparable. They'll both give you a great overview of both accompaniment and solo fingerstyle guitar playing. This one, I think, flows a bit better. This one has more popular tunes. Great books. This book is maybe the best just starting out book. It's only accompaniment playing, but it starts out as easy as it gets, and it very gradually gets more difficult, but it's a great place to start building some finger dexterity and get used to playing fingerstyle guitar. If you want to sing and play some fingerstyle guitar patterns underneath your singing, this is a great book to learn if you're not interested in playing any solo fingerstyle guitar. So this one's a little different than the others in that way. This book, Finger Picking Guitar by Doug Bodach, Hal Leonard, doesn't have nearly as much text, but it does kind of give you a general overview of fingerstyle guitar. A lot of great arrangements of popular tunes. I like it as a teaching aid. Works really well for people who don't want to read all the text. But yeah, it's a nice book. And then finally, you have the Complete Chet Atkins Guitar Method by Mel Bay, Publishing, written by Chet Atkins, and Travestyle Guitar from Scratch by Bruce Emery. These both focus on Travestyle or playing with an alternating bass. Same thing. And this book starts out a bit easier, and it's a more gradual difficulty progression, more exercises. I think it's a better starting out book. This book progresses a little more quickly, gets into some other key signatures, and gets you playing up the neck. So they're both valuable, and I'd recommend going through both, but start with the Bruce Emery book. And lastly, before I let you go, I want to give you more information about my book, Arranging for Fingerstyle Guitar. Like I mentioned earlier, I show you how to take one very simple melody and arrange it in hundreds of different ways, all within the umbrella of fingerstyle guitar. So I'll show you how to take that simple melody and add a very simple bass line underneath. I'll show you how to add in inner harmony, how to add in a Travis style bass line underneath the melody, how to add arpeggiation to get that beautiful flowing sound. I'll show you how to put the melody in the bass and utilize harmonics. I show you how to transpose the melody into different keys, because an extremely important part of arranging for fingerstyle guitar is finding the best or optimal key to play the tune in. Because every tune sits a little differently in the registers of the guitar, and sometimes it takes a little experimentation to find the best key. So I show you how to transpose the melody into different keys, and I show you some of the benefits and drawbacks of these new keys. I show you how to utilize alternate tunings, and then one of the topics that I spend a lot of time on at the end of the book, the final 2 chapters are on reharmonization. So when you're playing solo fingerstyle guitar, sometimes you're playing arrangements of popular tunes that may have verses and choruses. When you're singing, each verse has different lyrics to keep it interesting. When you're playing fingerstyle guitar, solo instrumental fingerstyle guitar, each of those verses sounds essentially the same. So there are a couple things you can do. You can utilize melodic variations, where you change the rhythm of the melody or the notes of the melody a bit. Or you can utilize harmonic variation, where you're changing the chords underneath the melody. This is called reharmonization, and I spend a lot of time on it. It's a really cool topic. It can breathe new life into tunes. I utilize it a lot in my own arranging and composing, so check that out. The book is available as an ebook, a PDF. You can purchase it through the link in the show notes below. So check that out, and also check out my music. My latest album is Pins on the Map. It's full of fingerstyle guitar, fingerstyle ukulele, and piano. I hope you'll check it out and see what I've been up to. And that's it for today. If you like this video, if you found it beneficial, please like and subscribe. And I'm planning on doing some more lists in the near future, maybe best advanced fingerstyle guitar books. I'd like to do a best fingerstyle blues guitar book list. So check it all out. I'll see you next time.